first, let's just briefly chat what it's not. Medical malpractice is not iffy or lousy care. What medical malpractice is actually is a deviation from the standard of care. So what does that mean? That means that if someone presents to a hospital and something is done that is not the current, meaning it's what's going on in this time and the circumstances and the knowledge base of the physician who's treating that person, meaning that person did something that a like-kind physician would not do, or that person failed to do something that a like-kind physician should have done in the face of any type of particular injury and treatment. So if a doctor's treating someone and a lab test comes up, and in the face of this lab result, the doctor should have done X, Y, and Z, but the doctor actually did A, B, C, well, that's a problem because the doctor is then deviating from the standard of care. And what determines the standard of care? Well, other physicians in the field, in that subspecialty or that particular specialty. And if you get enough physicians to speak about what the standard of care is, you'll ultimately understand what the standard of care is, and then malpractice would be that particular doctor, that particular defendant, not operating or working in that standard of care. Well, what I do in this particular field of personal injury and wrongful death litigation, I review huge volumes of medical charts. And the experience and training I've had in undergraduate really allowed me, the core classes allowed me to really understand the physiology and the actual components of the body. And I'm not a doctor and I don't hold myself out as a doctor, but at least I have a pretty good understanding. So a lot of the times when we depose doctors, because that's a large component of what we do, you know, from a standpoint as a treater, if I have a client who's significantly injured and ends up having spine surgery or neurosurgery, I'd like to sit down with that particular surgeon and really understand the components of that surgery, of that medical treatment. You know, what's involved, what's happened in the past, what's happened in the future, or what will happen. What does the future look like for this, you know, particular patient? In the event you feel that you might be a victim of malpractice, you would go to an attorney who speaks in that particular field. And if you came to our firm, what I would do is I would review medical records. Often patients will have medical records and they will have access to these particular type of medical records, and they'll bring them with to a meeting. So I will sit down, I will review them, probably speak with experts in the field, people who are specialists in that particular type of field, medical doctors, and evaluate the case based on what the records say and based on the doctor's opinions, and then make a decision about what the viability of going forward with that particular case is. But medical records, as well as the client themselves, really dictate the viability of that particular case. Should you or a loved one be involved in a crash, slip or fall, or other injury, catastrophic or otherwise, feel free to contact the office of Ginnis Krathen. Myself or my partner will be happy to sit down with you, answer any questions, and go over all your options.